Yeah, so my training as a scientist is in microbiology. Such a great science to get into. Lots of new science behind it, always discovering something in the field. And I was lucky enough to work in um, some very interesting organizations in my career. And I was always very curious about the science of microbiology, but also curious about how I could impact the world around me with new innovations and new ideas. Dominantly, my career has been spent supporting other teams, supporting development teams, and I was very fortunate to get this opportunity at Microban to really take all of those learnings, all of the interests and curiosities I've had and ideas that I've had, and actually start to bring them to fruition under this Microban umbrella. Yeah, so my role is really diverse. So really, it's almost cradle to grave in a sense that we start with a concept, an idea, and that idea may come from various different sources, and we take that idea all the way from inception, all the way to development, and then hopefully launch into the market. Now, of course, not everything launches for various reasons, but so my role and my team's role is to either create or find new technologies that are going to be impactful to the business and to our customers with Microban. Yeah, so innovation is just so broad, right? There are so many things that we can consider, and it's almost like a blank slate to some extent, where you have the chance to see, create, and follow the journey of something completely new. Innovation allows us to look at all kinds of different technologies, speak with some amazing people in other businesses and in academia, and then follow its journey, right? There's nothing more satisfying for someone in R&D like myself and the team here to actually be able to see something that they've worked on come to market and see in people's homes or in businesses and industry. It's just so satisfying to see that happen. As a scientist, you might expect that someone like me would be looking at scientific journals, etc. And that's true. We have an extensive library online, journal subscriptions, things of that nature that allow us to keep in touch with the latest science and the latest thinking. But trends can come from many different places. And a lot of those trends are actually driven by customers, really. It wouldn't be a surprise to anyone to know that a current trend is around greener, safer chemistries and sustainability. So that's certainly a mega trend that we're looking at constantly. So I think the industry is evolving. We're finding new ways to find solutions. It's which seems generic, but what tends to happen is that we'll have a palette of chemistries that we use that typically has a shelf life of 15 to 20 years in the industry, and then it evolves and changes. What we're finding is with just about everything in life these days, that is accelerating. Social media has eyes on just about everything, and regulations are evolving. So in the industry, we need to be keeping ahead of the curve. And for that, it really comes down to what's new, what's moving the needle, what's exciting, what could add new claims and new benefits, what is more sustainable. Competition is strong. Customers are demanding, as they should be, because it's competitive in their markets, and we need to be kept ahead of that. And the only way we do that is by searching for and developing new products. And I think, unlike some companies in our industry, we have an extremely strong R&D function. Just the fact that we have an innovation group is probably unusual in the industry, I would say. In fact, it may even be unique. Predominantly regulatory challenges. And I think, and again, that's evolving. So what we're finding is technologies that have been around for, in some cases, centuries, are being scrutinized in some cases unfairly, I think, but that is happening, and that is something that we have to be aware of and be ahead of. Challenge of what we do, especially on the antimicrobial side of the business, is that you can't see microbes, right? You can't see them with the naked eye. Sometimes that messaging is not always clear to every customer. So being able to communicate that in a meaningful way is important, and that will always be a challenge. That the market may be skeptical of some of the claims and some of the ideas and some of the performance measures. What we need to do is convince customers and continue to promote our ideas and our technologies and the benefits of those, and that it is true science and it's backed by that. So metals are an interesting situation. I think any chemistry, there are two major concerns. One is environmental toxicity. So what happens to the fate of that metal when it gets into the waterways and soils and sewer systems? The other is toxicological to humans and animals. Those are the two major concerns. And I think what tends to happen in general, so this is in general, is that there'll be studies that are done in either environment. So that is humans, animals, and then waterways, and also fish and so on. And that science will be indicative of a potential problem. And that in turn becomes a risk benefit analysis by the regulators and the legislators. And unfortunately, that can be misinterpreted or the risk assessed in such a way that regulators would rather ban something than actually investigate, the true reasoning and science behind it. It's like metals. I mean, silver, for example, not that that's under any real pressure, but I mean, silver's been used for millennia in terms of storage of water and drinking. We wear it around our necks and our and around our wrists, and so to think that that is an issue, it surprises me. But a lot of the concern is more around nanoparticles of silver getting into humans and into the waterways, and what does that do? I just don't think we know enough really to say that that is an issue and a real issue and something we should ban. It starts with an idea. That idea may come from various different places. It may also come from within. So we may have new antimicrobials that are on the radar. Often the beauty of R&D is not to necessarily synthesize and create a new molecule, either for anti-odor or antimicrobial properties. It's actually looking for synergies. So a good amount of what we do is we combine ingredients together, almost like a chef would, to create something completely new. And often you see synergies that are unexpected. And the properties of the synergies give you something that's new and different. Once that discovery has been found, you can then start to think about what are the steps involved in taking it from, again, a beaker, so to speak, and literally a beaker, to the market, into people's products, into manufacturing, whatever that might be. And things that you need to think about are the chemistry of the formulation, the performance of the formulation. Can you take that product from a beaker and make several tons of it? That is not an easy thing to do. Can you source the raw materials, and can they come together in the right location to manufacture? are the raw materials economically viable? We also look at the regulations and the safety toxicity profile. That's another step as well. And then, of course, working with customers, we may tweak some things, we may add some benefits, and we certainly look to, okay, how can we take this material? So let's say it's for a textile. Can we go into a textile mill, reproduce the performance that we've seen on a small scale, and know that when it's out into the market, that it still performs in the way we see it in the lab? So lots of steps, a lot more details to it than what I've just said, but those are the basic framework. I would say Acera. I think Acera is terrific. I think, you know, for us, it's a technology that we've been working extremely hard on, and it fits the trends of today where we're not using heavy metals. Again, I will say I think metals have a place in the market, and they're still effective. But for those customers that want to avoid metals, then it's a great alternative. It's effective in a number of different polymer substances and other substrates. So you've got all those advantages. It's easy to work with. It's economically viable. So I think, you know, the team here did an amazing job with that. I have to say that when I came into Microban, that was well on its way in terms of product development. So I can't take any credit for that development, but yeah, great job by the team, and I think it will have an impact in the market for sure.